What's up, my folks? I hope everyone is doing good. What are you doing? You're starting to get all crazy on me? Yeah. Hope y'all are having a great day. Hush! I want to talk a little bit about, again, we'll get on the breeding thing. I seen the comment about the inbreeding, to increase gameness and recessive traits, and man's breeding going against it. I got that book too. I read it. It was back in the 90s. I remember Mary was reading that book and practicing that program. The only way for that to work is if you have a good gene pool to pull from, and you're selectively breeding nothing but the very best of those dogs together, okay? And that's not what happens now, okay? You can't expect just inbreeding dogs to give you game dogs. Even if you're going on a good game dog, sometimes they still don't produce. You know what I'm saying? It's just some dogs produce, some dogs don't. It's just really it's the way it is. But I understand what you're saying about it. Theoretically, if you're inbreeding on a certain dog, he should produce, the traits. That's how we all hope it does. Anyway, I had some guy asking about this dog. He's still here. Yep, old Hank's still here. He's old bad-haired fucker, but he's still here. He's put together pretty good. I ordered him a collar and it was too damn small. He's got a thicker neck than he looks. But yep, he's asking how he's bred. Okay, now don't crucify me on this if I'm wrong, breeder. But he's off of the Pitt Island's Midnight 2 dog. That's his grandsire on the top, I believe, and the Champion Bradley dog on the bottom is his grandsire. You know what I'm saying? He's inbred on both of those families put together. The Pitt Island 2 and the Bradley dog, which is off the, a lot, it's just Jeep Rascal blood. And Pitt Island 2, I believe, is a lot of Rascal blood. Maybe some Jeep in there. I don't think there's no Rebel in them dogs. But, yep, that's what he is. He's still young. You know what I mean? He's still a little fancy dancing footed little thing. But, yep, that's what he's bred like on his pedigree. But, anyway, it doesn't work. I'm gonna tell you like it is. What happens when you inbreed, even on good dogs? Okay, I've done it. The thing is, there's a fine line. You got to know when to go out. I took a family of dogs. I had a phenomenal male that was Ray Ramsey bred back to some Happy Jack stuff, and then I bred it back to a double bred Jeep bitch, which Happy Jack was her out. Happy Midnight Cowboy stuff was her out. And I bred them together, and I got phenomenal dogs. I mean, phenomenal. They're great dogs. Okay, they were heavy bred on that blood. I took them dogs, and I did a brother-sister breeding. Still got good, usable, workable dogs. Then I took one of them off of that and went back to the sire. Okay? And in that litter, it fell apart. First thing, usually, and I've done it with Paladin dogs, I've done it with Bulls dogs, I've done it with all of them, inbreeding them too much. A lot of times I'll lose mouth. I would lose mouth on them and win. And you might as well lose it all if you lose the win, So when I started breeding them, when I got this short, I knew I wanted to inbreed on to base the program on good win. That was my main thing, because I lost win on some of them dogs. You lose the win in them, you lose the dog. He ain't worth the shit no more. I mean, so you got to keep the wind going. That was my goal. And I wanted to breed hard mouth, long-winded type blood. You know what I mean? You don't have to breed just long-winded dogs. You can find hard mouth dogs too. I mean, a mouth is a very important trait. A lot of people say, oh, mouth ain't that important. Yeah, whatever. I mean, even back in the day, I never did good with a dog that couldn't bite hard. I never did. I always lose my ass. I mean, you might do a little. I've had them fancy dancing motherfuckers and shit. It's still, they always tripped. I like good hard mouth dogs. It just seems to It's just what I like. Okay, I like a good hard mouth dog. Some people, you know, I've had dogs that couldn't bite. That was okay, but for the most part, they ain't worth shit to me, really. But and you lose mouth. I mean, I've done that too. I had some good Jeep Red Boy blood. I inbred them too much didn't go out with nothing, and I lost their mouth. They could bite at one time and then they lost it. You know what I'm saying? Just in like, it don't take very many generations, you know. And if you're not really focusing on the dogs and paying attention to what their traits are, you won't catch it. You know what I mean? You won't catch it. Like with Buster, you know, he's an inbred dog. He's a game old dog. He's game to the bone. He ain't got no win. You know what I mean? Lost his win. You know, so I mean, it happens. So I like that inbreeding ain't the answer, and outcrossing doesn't necessarily bring bad traits. Okay, you're not bringing bad traits to the table. A lot of times, you're bringing good traits. A lot of dogs don't produce themselves either. They'll produce like dogs that they're bred to. You know, that was the one thing about like Velvet. She had that quality. She would produce a dog. Look at this bomb field he's made. She would produce a dog like she was bred to. You know what I mean? Very often, you know. She didn't. I mean, she was only 32 pounds, and she produced dogs that were huge. You know, one of my biggest fucking look. This bitch is off of Rita. Velvet. That monster came off of her. She's big, long, but see, getting them down in size, that just is a part of it. I mean, they go big, small, don't make a shit. You know, I don't breed on the size. You know, that's another thing. We don't. And as far as like a puppy being a certain weight, I seen a comment about Scream's band dog. Yeah, they all overfed when they puppies. You know what I'm saying? But when you cut them down, like Rita's huge right now. If I put her on a scale, it'd pop that son bitch. But when you cut her down light, you can go light with them type of dogs, real light, and they're big. You know, like Dixie, man, you can take that bitch down light as shit. This kind of build, you can bring them type of dogs in light. You know, but like her, she's real heavy inbred. She's kind of got, she was ready to be, put a little outcross in her. You know what I mean? She was losing some of them. They get straightforward. They get one-dimensional. They do. It ain't, gameness is a trait they all should have. I mean, you look at some of your greatest champion pit dogs, you know, look at how they're bred. They're not really inbred. Most of them, 90% of them are crosses in several ways. You know what I mean? You know, like the Great Mayday everyone likes to talk about. That dog was a cross. You know what I'm saying? He was Yellow John Jocko and Hollingsworth, and you know what I'm saying? Several different types of blood in there. Hollingsworth bull, you know. So, I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, it doesn't, just because they're outcrossed doesn't mean they're any less game. Trust me. That used to be a thing that was a selling point when I was starting buying dogs and shit, man. People would start to do, they were all them dogs crosses. I mean, some of the dogs back in the day would be red heavy, man. People would not breed shit else but with their blood, you know. And they would be too straightforward, and they just couldn't compete, because you had like the Boyles dogs, the Eli Bolio crosses, the Red Boy Jeep crosses out. You had a lot of crosses that was bad, you know what I mean? They're bad and super game, and had lots of tools in that belt, you know. And that's the type of dog. I mean, if it was just easy as breeding them, inbreeding them, even when you inbreed dogs and get a good family, it ain't like, okay, every dog in the litter is going to get a percentage of this and a percentage of that. You might get 2 or 3 phenomenal dogs. You know, people say, oh, well, look at this breeding, look at that breeding. Like, maybe even one phenomenal dog out of the litter, and the rest of them be garbage. You know what I'm saying? I mean, them guys that were doing a lot of heavy inbreeding like that, they might have 60, 70 dogs, and by the time they get done looking and figuring out what's good and what ain't, they ain't got 10 or 12 dogs on the yard left. You know what I'm saying? That was the truth now. I mean, I'm not bullshitting you. But yeah, to keep the families alive, you have to inbreed. I do some inbreeding, you know, but I don't expect, just like my little, like this little bitch here, I don't expect to be able to do it very long. That's why I got different type of dogs. She's inbred, you know. She's like Rusty's. It's Rusty's niece back to him. You know what I'm saying? By way of Buster, you know. But she's caught some good traits. She's got a great ass end on her still. A good build. You know, she's coming along. She's got a good chest, good nice build on her. Fast. Her bone structure's coming in nice. You know, she's still holding together good. She's got a great attitude, and we'll see at the end of the game how she catches hogs. I mean, I know she'll catch. I know she will already, and I know she's got damn good mouth already. You know, so she's got some qualities we like. We'll just have to see. But you know, I wouldn't take her like back to Rusty again. You know, it'd be time to take her back out. Maybe even to keep it in the family. I could go more the other way with it. You don't want to go too tight with nothing. I'm telling you, you're gonna lose out. Like him, he's a daddy-daughter bred dog. I mean, he's still holding together and acting good and all, but he's gonna take a lot longer to mature than like a cross would. He's real, you know what I mean? He's still a lot of puppy in him, and I can tell, you know what I mean? But you know, it just is what it is. If you can go and inbreed and not cross that line where you fuck your dogs up, and be honest with yourselves, and you know, and people expect a lot out of these dogs. You know what I mean? And you got to understand what you're dealing with. Sometimes when you get one bloodline that's by itself is not really a great dog, but you can cross him back out. But if you keep inbreeding on it, you're just going to make more average Joes. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to get them real good ones unless you keep the whole litters and are honest with yourself about it. And even when you only breed the best, because that's what I did. I only bred the best ones, and I had a good fucking test pool. I had like 63 Paladin dogs, and that's what they were. They were Paladin and Red Boy, and that was it. And you know, I don't think I ended up with 2 or 3 real game ones. You know, and they was inbred. They were bred heavily inbred. You know, they were bad, but they lost the win. Then they started losing mouth, and then I got a lot of cold shit. You know, you gotta think about it too. The more you inbreed, the more cold dogs you're gonna get. Even when you're outcrosses, sometimes you get cold ones. You know, but when you inbreed them on anything, I don't even care if if it's inbred on outcross shit. Sometimes you're gonna get cold dogs. Just facts of nature, you know. But I mean, I read that, dude, and I understand it. And I even had a little YouTube guy, a little Indian dude on there talking about it and all. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good and all in theory, but with real working sporting, I mean, might be great for show dogs and all that, but you know, for looks, you might be able to touch on it. But in the dog's mind, they all got their, you know, you ask them guys that get them dogs that are like, hey, this is just dogs just like his Graham's fire. You know, I mean, you got one that acts just like the one that they're bred off of, and he looks like him and everything. But then ask how many dogs that he produced that's just like that. You know, not many, man. Not many. A lot of them don't. You know, sometimes it's even better. It's better, obviously. I think you get more caught from the grand aspect than you do some sons. Sometimes that, you know, you get them ones that you know, look and act just like them. But most of the time, I've seen a lot of times, like your grand offspring, you get some really good positive traits from the breedings, you know. But that's just here nor there. That's just my observations. You know what I mean? But I do breeding more on observation and performance than bloodline. And then another thing, I seen a comment about Colby. I don't know what the Colby you're talking about. I don't have any Colby dogs. People got to get it, man. I mean, there was only a lot of dogs originate from those old dogs, but that shit so far back, it doesn't. I mean, you had too many hands in the pot. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we could all say there, if you got Red Boy in them, you could say you got Colby in them, you know. But it's just, it's how far along you got to be before it's not Colby anymore. You know, that's kind of where I look at it. Like all of them. You know, I'm from the school of thought that if a man takes a bitch and he breeds that bitch up, like this bitch here, and then I breed back to a different dog, that's my breeding. You know what I'm saying? It's my blood then. I made my influence in it. You know what I mean? Like if I took this bitch here that's heavy bred on all the shit on the yard and then bred her back to somebody else's stuff, I made that breeding. You know what I mean? The bitch owner of the bitch, that's how I look at it, you know. And that's just the way I see it, man. That's the way I've always seen it. But and you know, so whoever bred to that stuff to make that down, that's their shit. You know, it goes down like that. I mean, how many generations you gotta be before it's your own bloodline? I don't know, man. 7, 6, 7, I don't know for you. Just whatever you got on your yard that you're breeding and using, I mean, that's what you're using. I mean, as far as bloodlines, I mean, some of these guys got, you know, when you get up way back up in there, it's pretty much your dogs. Everything in there is you've influenced, and it's pretty much yours then, you know. But whoever makes the breeding, that's their dogs. They made that breeding, you know. Just the way I look at it. I mean, we got little dingle nuts over here. He all these dogs are going to be hunted this year. He's ready. I didn't rush none of them. They all act good. That bitch there's ready. People asking about when they're ready. They'll let you know when they're fucking ready. They'll let you know. I mean, he's a pretty good little puppy other than he's loud. Loud as shit. He don't never be quiet. He's got that annoying yip. But yeah, I got a bunch of them that's I think on Hank, he still acts like a puppy too much. I think he's 15, 16 months old. She's right at about 17 months old, I believe. And that's about prime time for her. And them other ones up on the hill, they still a little bit young. But we got a bunch of them that's going to be hunted this year. I'm going to, you know, after deer season closes on out down here, I think February 10th, February 11th, I'll start sending dogs in the woods. But y'all take care and y'all keep on bulldogging.